This video is going to be a film study look at the screen game / running back throws that I think is really pushing the Ravens offense over the top at times, making it impossible to defend for NFL defenses. There's so much to appreciate from yesterday's game against the Broncos, focusing on the offense, that is. I want to try to share some of it with you. There are obvious factors: Lamar Jackson throwing the ball incredibly accurately, finding the right matchups, the right spots in the coverage, the run game, the direct flow run game with Derrick Henry, meaning following Pat Ricard on power concepts. One back run stuff is also been a huge factor in 2024. We didn't utilize the option game with Lamar at all against the Broncos and still averaged 9.6 yards per play in the first half and really rocked the Broncos defense in the third quarter. What we're going to focus on today is the screen game in 2024, particularly against Denver, with an ode to the wheel routes that Todd Monken brought with him when he was hired to be the Ravens offensive coordinator last year. And that's where we're going to start. Even though this video is about screens, this is a key moment in the second quarter. It's a 3rd and 4, and the Ravens are using motion to try to sift out the coverage. And in this case, I think it's Jonah Ellis, a rookie, is assigned to try to guard Justice Hill on this wheel. And Lamar just does a great job of understanding whether the throw has got to be zipped in there or allowed to have some air under it, basically floated. And the lighting isn't great, to be honest with you. Part of that is the video that we get from the NFL, so my apologies for that. But this is a key 3rd and 4. I believe it's 5:15, 5:20 left in the second quarter that we're able to convert and avoid potentially another long field goal attempt, in this case with the ball at the 34-yard line. Would have been a 50-plus yarder. There is the pick rub concept with Bateman, who is trying to force the linebacker to go underneath. And I'll give you the end zone angle of this one as well and refer to 2 other wheel route. Great he is at throwing this football, at tempoing where the ball's got to go, at basically putting it in the right spot, but also putting it in the right spot with the right touch on it. Same play, end zone angle. The inside linebacker assigned to guard Justice Hill, just so you know, is faking a blitz here. And he's going to peel out on Justice Hill's release. He sees it. You can see he's opened up to that side. And Lamar pretty much, I think, already knows where he's going to go with the football, because the coverage that many teams are playing. Now, you're losing this a little bit. You've got an inside linebacker kind of trapping Andrews, but off frame for you guys right there is the feet of the boundary side safety, who is looking for 3 from the field. That's a coverage to the NFL. One of Todd Monken's answers is this running back wheel into the boundary, into space that theoretically that safety, that boundary side safety, this guy right here, could occupy if he weren't focusing on the route emanating from the other side of the field. Again, you lose him on the frame, but you pick him up here. Talking about number 26, post-snap, he was looking at Andrews, looking to just push from last year, but I can use it because I know the NFL isn't going to copyright hit the video. We have likely off-screen to our right, and he's basically trying to set a screen, if it's a snag concept, towards the sideline with some velocity on it. This one is a touch throw. Early in this 2023 season last year, we're attacking JOK into the boundary. And again, you've got a little snag by Aguilar and then Melvin Gordon running the wheel. Perfectly placed by Lamar. This has added a flavor to the offense, along with direct run flow stuff. It's added our ability to attack to the boundary when teams want to utilize the boundary side safety and just play, push him to the trips, essentially. There's a middle of the field free safety, so slightly different. But basically play man down here. Justice Hill has been a terror against inside linebackers. In this case, it happens to be Gordon against JOK, who still doesn't know that the ball was caught. We're focusing on the screen games here, and it involves Justice Hill from yesterday. So keeping in mind, and this is why I set up this video the way that I did. So this is second quarter late. This is before Zay Flowers' touchdown pass made it 24-10. Look at the inside linebackers' leverage to the boundary now. Look how we have changed their reaction. And because of the threat of the wheel by Justice Hill, additional to that, possibly an out route. In this case, though, we're bringing Justice Hill's route back underneath because the inside linebacker has flowed over the top and essentially put himself in no position to defend that route by Justice Hill. It's a great call, great adaptation. in my opinion. There's less than a minute left in the half, so you can see the off coverage nature that these guys are providing. If he was to go underneath of it, potentially could he disrupt the screen? Yes. So, which makes it a great call by Todd Monken, understanding what they were probably going to get in terms of an adjustment, and look at the space that is created with one of the guards out on that inside linebacker, and then Falele able to lead Justice Hill downfield. I think it goes for 12 yards. 2 plays later, I believe, is the touchdown to Zay. So these screens have not just been effective, they've been timely. And Todd Monken and those guys, in my opinion, have shown a great ability to adjust as the game flows along to how defenses adjust to our play calling. You can see the inside linebacker pushing out flat. His depth kind of necessitated that, how deep he was lined up. And we go underneath of those, allows Lamar to, I don't want to say take plays off. It reminds me of basketball concepts where a star player can still be on the court and utilize in the scheme, in the play design, but not have to do anything with tremendous effort output, I should say, and we can still get things accomplished. Like I said, the very next play, 2 plays later, after that, was this touchdown to Zay Flowers. So these screens are important. We've got Andrews sitting down in between the hash and the top of the numbers, so sitting down in that box there. And then Zay underneath. You've got a clear out route by Bateman. The Broncos, great recognition by Lamar. And it's a little fake draw to Justice Hill. The same safety, by the way, is doing the same exact thing, looking to the trip side. So he's looking for work from them, able to go in the third quarter and absolutely annihilate their defense. I already did a large-scale film study video about that. I am going to focus on 2 plays from those drives in the third quarter because I think the screens are important to use, not just when Justice Hill is on the field, but also with Derrick Henry, because he's great after the catch. He's great with the football in his hands, period. And he's got great vision and ability to set up blocks. Credit to Todd Monken for recognizing that and having these things in place. I believe we ran 1 screen to Derrick Henry against the Raiders at home in week 2, but I could be wrong. So this is third quarter. Like I said, we're halfway through the third quarter on our second drive. Fake to Derrick Henry. And yes, there's a lot of, quote, pressure on Lamar, but it's by design. It's because we've got 4 offensive linemen leaking out in front. Derrick Henry out in space to the boundary. Attempt by Henry on the inside linebacker. He kind of falls down. Seems like he lost balance there. Great job. Great design. Great play. Just dread to prepare to watch this. If you're a fan of another team, to prepare to watch this offense. If someone really does their homework, paying attention to what the Ravens offense can do, it can't be fun to be a fan of another team. Because we can make up ground. Tom Brady did a great job, I think, alluding to it 2 weeks ago when we played against the Bucs, that Lamar can erase or negate a 1st and 20. Offensive linemen getting out there in secondary fashion. So when I call it a slip screen, just means there's one guy blocking out in front for a receiver. Slip screen, old run and shoot / spread concept, just to get the ball out to the perimeter, oftentimes trying to get it out to the bottom of the numbers. Not so wide here, but check out all these guys storming down the field to give Zay Flowers the ability to cut underneath of all of these blocks. We're not able to close off 0. I think that's Cooper, but I could be wrong. Jonathan Cooper, and he is, lo and behold, he's the guy that makes the tackle. It still ends up being a 16-yard gain with all of the talent that is at Lamar Jackson's disposal to throw the ball downfield, play action concepts, intermediate pass game, RPOs, which haven't been tremendously effective, especially recently, in my opinion. To add the screen element to it in such a clean fashion, just a brilliant move by Todd Monken, especially with Zay Flowers' agility. This one's very similar, the one yesterday against the Broncos, to a particular screen against Washington that goes for 44 yards early in the game, mind you. Look at all the space that's over there. Recall that Zay motioned left to right, and all of these linemen are getting out here as well as tight ends to give Zay Flowers. That is what Todd Monken is doing with these screens. However he decides to run screens, it's beautiful, it's intelligent, and the timing of it is what is interesting to me. I wish I could go back and track when and where we've run screens, what parts of the field. There doesn't seem to be a pattern to me. Meaning on on that one right there against Washington, it was the second play of the game. We were back to our negative 34-yard line. The second drive of the third quarter yesterday against the Broncos, Derrick Henry's screen was the first play of the drive, backed up to our negative 30. But we've had screens or wheel concepts called in multiple locations on the field. I think it's pretty unpredictable. The only pattern I think I could suggest is somewhere around the 20-yard line, ball on the right hash. We seem to be willing to throw the wheel to Justice Hill. We've done that multiple times. To our right, when it's the boundary side, I should say, in the last year plus, and in fact with Keaton Mitchell on the field as well. If you guys think the screen game is as effective as I do, please let me know in the comment section. I think it's utilized perfectly. If screens are called, let's say 4% of the time in this offense, which would be my guess off the top of my head. If they are at 4%, I don't think they should be at 7%. I think it's right around the precise or exact level of usage, percent level of usage that we need. It kind of catches teams off guard because we use them, I don't want to say infrequently, but because it's such a low number, 4%, whatever it actually is, the defenses are focused on so many other things, and they just can't recognize the screens quickly enough unless they happen to be in particular versions of man whereby an edge defender or inside linebacker can press Justice Hill or Derrick Henry and get up in their grill before the ball is able to get there. These seem to be almost like the added blow in a knockout. I made a combat sports analogy in the video that I put out earlier today on our third quarter offense, and I'll make another one with the screens. These remind me of when a guy's already knocked out and now he's on the ground and the fighter lands an extra shot. Obviously, I'm talking about UFC or mixed martial arts as opposed to boxing. These remind me of the added shot when the guy's on the ground and pretty much the fight's already over, but the ref hasn't been able to recover and pull the fighter off of him yet. Because these screens, on top of everything else that can get executed, Lamar's precision passing recently, another perfect passer rating game. I'll do a video on him sometime this week, but I figured there'd be enough content out about Lamar, and I wanted to do some somewhat off-center stuff coming from a different angle. Zay Flowers is on an absolute tear recently. Not just the production, but the efficiency. Catches to target percentage is really high. I think it's 82% in the last 5 or 6 weeks. Derrick Henry is dominant at times, but it seems to be a cumulative effect on defenses later in the second half. Once Todd Monken and the offensive staff have been able to discern what teams were trying to do and what we could do to attack them with the downhill run game like we did yesterday against the Broncos. I appreciate you guys' time, man. If you enjoyed this one, please let me know in the comment section. Like I said, let me know what you think of the plays that I chose to illustrate how effective the screens are, particularly with Justice Hill, who has great acceleration and great ball skills and great hands when the ball is in the air. And finally, if you think other Ravens fans would enjoy this film study video, this look at the screens/wheels that utilize running backs and Zay Flowers so expertly, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.